Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I think today I want to talk about the T-90A. This is a Soviet MBT I've been researching and spading the last week or so, and I've got to be honest, it's been a very poor experience. Now generally, when it comes to Soviet or Russian MBTs, I have a really good time. I loved the T-80U. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the T-80B. I really liked the T-64s and also the standard T-72s, the B and the B-1989. I remember when the 1989 came out, I ended up having like an 85-90% win rates with it, which was just crazy. And then I decided, you know what? Let's just play the T-90A. I had everything else in the ground tech tree researched, and it was the next kind of logical step for something to research. I have stuff like the T-90M and the T-80BVM, but I thought, you know what, let's just continue with the BR progression. And I kind of wondered, why do I never see this vehicle in the game? Why do I never see people playing it? And at the same time, as somebody who's played the Bishma in the British tech tree, I was like, well, the Bishma wasn't exactly a bad vehicle. It was quite fun, and also had a good lineup. So what's going on with the T-90A? Well, the T-90A is higher BR than the Bishma, and also, it doesn't have a lineup. So I suppose it makes sense why you don't see it as much in the game. And it has some incredibly annoying limiting factors, which make it not as good as other vehicles in the game. So the T-90A, as a vehicle, has some really good factors as well, though, and that's why it's a 11.0. The reason why this vehicle isn't a low BR is because Gaijin have decided to give it a 3BM60 round, which is obviously the best APFSDS that the Soviets can get, and then also it has the Gen 2 thermals and an LWS, which right now is bugged, by the way, because what ends up happening with it is you actually, once you get lasered once, it stays the whole map. So you can't really tell if you're getting lasered again. Hopefully they fix that. It's a really annoying bug at the moment. But then, on top of that, you have also access to some other factors. You have some smoke grenades, you have the 12.7mm, you have a few things just to kind of as positives that are there. The problem with it, though, is it's matched up with a bunch of negatives, and that's why the T-90A is such a low BR compared to, you know, all the other vehicles which have 3BM60. This actually completely reminds me of the 2S25M. When I played the 2S25M, I was like, wow, this thing has the 3BM60 shell. It has the thermals. It has great mobility. I wonder why this thing is at 10.0. And it's because, once again, of its targeting speed, and the T-90A has exactly the same problem. If you have a look at a lot of high-tier Soviet MBTs, what you will find is you will find problems with the targeting speed of the vehicle. And this means that it doesn't have a very good turret rotation, and it also doesn't have a very good vertical guidance speed. So for example, on the T-90A, I have a crew of level 150. I didn't expert or ace it, but now I am fully modified. The horizontal guidance speed is 20.4 degrees per second. The vertical guidance speed is 3 degrees per second, right? Now, if you compare that to the Leopard 2A4NL, which is a vehicle I spaded a few days ago, before the T-90A, the horizontal guidance speed on that is 34 degrees per second. The vertical guidance speed is also 34 degrees per second, and that can be aced up to 40. So you can see that the vertical guidance speed on the Leopard 2A4NL is over 10 times quicker than what is on the T-90A. And that is the major problem with this vehicle. With the meta the way that it is around 11.0, you need a quick gun. You need also to be mobile because you are running into Type 90s all the time, you're running into Leopards all the time, you're running into Abramses all the time, and they're all incredibly quick, most of them with incredibly fast reloads, and you have to be able to switch, bang, and move. And the T-90 is not that. This vehicle is not designed for that. It's designed to stand and fight. And in this meta at the moment, standing and fighting does not work. You just get yourself clapped. And I think that's the real problem with this vehicle. The other part of the kind of issues that the T-90 has is the reload. They buffed a ton of NATO MBTs to have 5-second reloads now. Arietes, Abramses, obviously the Challengers have always had a good reload. The Italians now have a 5-second reload. The French, with their Leclercs, have a 5-second reload. The only ones that didn't get buffed were the Leopards, which were already very, very good vehicles, and also, if you have a proper crew on them, out-reload the T-90A. The T-90A is stuck on a 7.1 second reload, and also with the updated DMs, means that if you get shot in the middle and your autoloader gets taken out, you have a pretty long repair before you can load a round, which I think is actually a good change. I'm glad they added the autoloading system, so you don't just have rounds just disappear through the vehicle. I think that's very positive, but it's still really annoying at the end of the day. And then, of course, the kicker on top of all of it, which makes this vehicle just a misery to play. The transmission. The transmission on this vehicle means that you can only go 4 kilometers an hour in reverse. So if you get into a position where you're either getting flanked or you have to actually reposition, you have to go forward, turn around the whole vehicle, and move from there. And it takes ages to do it. Whereas any other vehicle that you'll play against, all of the meta vehicles, all of the meta MBTs and light tanks, they can move within a second of going around. The engine as well isn't a 1500 horsepower like pretty much every other vehicle. It is only 1000 horsepower, but at the same time the T-90 is a little bit lighter than other vehicles. So at least there's that, but you are still not as fast as other vehicles around the place. So basically, what you have to rely on in the T-90 is your armor to be able to live, right? Well, at 11.0, when you get up to quite a lot into 12.0, because that's the top BR, people can just slice through you like butter. And also, it's a Soviet MBT, so everybody knows where to shoot you. Lower glacis, driver's port, cannon breach. So what ends up happening is your armor doesn't matter because everybody just shoots center mass because that's where your weakest armor is. Now, it has helped against CAS, I will say. The Contact 5 and also just the additional armor has meant sometimes that I have survived CAS elements that I wouldn't in other vehicles, which is fantastic. But the fact that I have the lack of mobility, the fact that I have less smokes than a lot of other vehicles, and the fact that I have the worst reload just doesn't make up for it. The other thing is the lineup, right? So at 10.7, you have a fantastic lineup, and you also stay out of the top BR. You have the T-80B, which is a great vehicle. You have the T-72s for backup. You have the Tunguska, which is an enjoyable AA to use. You also have the Moderna, the Object 292, the 2S38, the T-72 terms, as well as backups. All of this makes a fantastic 10.7 lineup, which means you don't see 12.0s. And the only vehicle to bring you up to 11.0 is the T-90A. And then, if you want to take some CAS elements, like stuff like the MiG-27 or the Su-25, that can also bring you up in BR. Which, you know, I mean, the KH-29T is a very easy missile to use. It's a very fun, simple missile to use. But if your only vehicle on the ground to get you at that BR is the T-90, it's going to be rough to be able to actually try and add in those elements too. So, was the vehicle fun to play? No, it was frustrating. I'm not going to lie. I had a very, very frustrating time in it, sorry. Was it as frustrating as the Chrysanthema, which is the other kind of Russian vehicle I played recently? No, because we had other factors that we could work around. But this thing would be so much better if they removed the 3BM60, changed it with something like the 3BM46, or even just remove the round entirely, move it down to like 10.7 or 10.3, and you'd have such a much better time with it. And I'm guessing Gaijin don't want to do that because they want MBTs at like each BR, so therefore you can make lineups around all of them, but it's just on an island right now, and nobody's going to play it because of that. If you have a look at the Bishma, as I said, the Bishma is literally just this, but without the 3BM60. It only has the 3BM42 and the ATGM, and it has a laser rangefinder, doesn't have an LWS. It's a 10.7, and it feels much nicer to play than the T-90A does, and that just kind of makes me sad. It's also completely put me off playing the T-90M, which is also another thing that's a bit of a problem. The T-90M has the spore liner, it has the additional armor, it has all of these things, but it has exactly the same transmission. So I just don't have an interest in playing something with only 4 kilometers an hour reverse speed. It really sucks being in a mobile meta when you have no mobility. And that's what the T-90A is. It's just stuck in a place where it just doesn't work very well. So hopefully in the future, when it comes to this thing, hopefully they can rebalance it, but usually they don't like taking away. They don't like taking away rounds for things, so I don't think that's going to happen. We played 80 battles in it, 54% win rate, 163 ground kills to 73 deaths, and also 1 air kill. So about a 2-to-1 with a 54, which, you know, you may think, oh, well, that's not bad, right? Compared to the Leopard 2A4NL, which we spaded, as I said, earlier in the week, 67 battles to spade that, so a lot less, 67% win rate. By the way, remember, the 2A4NL is also the only vehicle in its lineup that actually exists at its BR. 154 ground kills, 56 deaths, 3 air kills. So a 3-to-1, much higher win rate, much easier to play, much, much better. So if you are going to play the T-90A, good luck to you. It was a tough one. It was not easy to play, and it was pretty aggravating. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.